Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan, and today we have got our 100 experts video this week for Game Week 8, and I'm sure a lot of you guys who are perhaps not on a wildcard right now are kind of glad that we're going to do some content this week that isn't fully directed towards wildcard people, because I know a lot of you guys out there, you're not on a wildcard. The video yesterday, Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid, that was very much directed towards you guys. This video as well is very much directed to those of you who are not on a wildcard. But those of you who are on a wildcard, I think you will find this video useful as well, particularly when we do the captains at the end, as we always do, and the best captain picks for the week. So, without further ado, guys, I think you should like the video and subscribe. Sorry, I was going to say let's start the video, but like and subscribe first. But now, let's have a look at the 100 experts from this week. So here they are on the screen. These are the 100 people that decided to help me out this week by telling me about their transfer plans, captains, and etc. for this week. Lots of names on there, some new, some old, all experts, pundits, enthusiasts, people who are just very much engaged with FPL. And hopefully, by using the data of all 100 of them, we are going to find some very, very useful information and try and find some trends to kind of see what the engaged FPL manager is up to this week. And there are some interesting things that I wasn't quite expecting, but maybe this is going to be useful to you guys. I really think it is. This video is always really useful to me, but yeah, thank you so much to all of you who got involved this week. Let's see what you've been up to. So 48% are using one transfer, 14% are using two transfers, 1%, so just one person is using three transfers this week, wow. And 9% are not using any transfers at all this week. That sounds very, very brave. I know a lot, to be fair, a lot of these people out of the 9% who are not using a transfer this week, they did wildcard last week, so they're kind of probably thinking, well, I wildcarded last week, I don't really need to make transfers right now. I've already set up my team, I can afford to save the transfer, which is completely fair enough. And interestingly, guys, 28% of our 100 experts are using a wildcard, only 28%. Now, the way maybe I've been speaking, the way maybe if you follow FPL on Twitter and stuff like that, you might be thinking that, oh my god, it feels like everyone is wildcarding right now. But in reality, only 28% of people are kind of wildcarding right now. A lot of people wildcarded last week. A lot of people wildcarded a few weeks ago. There's been loads of times that people have wildcarded. And you know what, guys? There will be some people who still haven't wildcarded. They will be wildcarding in the future. I imagine there's not too many people who still have their wildcard left and they're planning to save it for future game weeks, though. But there will be a few. Don't worry about that. So that's probably the biggest takeaway, guys. If you're not using a wildcard this week, don't feel too bad. You're not alone. 72% of people are with you in that regard out of the engaged FPL managers, so you're in good company there. So let's have a look and analyse the most popular transfers of the game week. So I've taken this data from the FPL website. These are the most popular transfer moves in to all of the players' teams in the whole of FPL, the millions and millions of players. These are the most popular transfers in that you can see right in front of you, and we're going to kind of see if there's any overlap, crossover between the majority, the casual player, what they're up to, and the more enthusiastic, experienced FPL player, I guess. And let me tell you, this week, guys, there is quite some difference. There really is. I think the last few weeks we've kind of seen, actually, there's kind of been a lot of similarities between the most popular choices and the expert choices. There's been a lot of overlap there, but this week, not so much. But let's have a look at some of the crossovers first. So, in terms of crossovers, Cancelo, Hwang, Lukaku, and Azpilicueta, they've all been very popular picks among experts, as well as being popular transfers among our experts. So everyone, overall and experts, both going for Cancelo, Hwang, Lukaku, and Azpilicueta. I think they make sense as transfers. Maybe Azpilicueta not super popular. Hwang's not super popular, but certainly Cancelo and Lukaku, very, very good transfers in for the game week, according to our demographic for this week. But yeah, if you look on the other side, there's a lot of players who are just not transferred in by any experts whatsoever out of the 100 that I kind of canvassed this week. So Townsend, Rafinha, Vardy, and Antonio, not a single transfer in for any of those players. There's also not been a single transfer in for Salah, but I do suspect that is because everyone, all serious FPL players would kind of already have Salah in their team. You would probably predict, there wouldn't be many people who are really serious about their FPL who wouldn't have had Salah by now. So yeah, that's the only reason why Salah doesn't appear there. Well, why I haven't highlighted Salah. But Townsend, I kind of talked a lot about him in yesterday's video, so I won't talk about him too much now, but I talked about a lot about him in yesterday's video, kind of saying, I really think this guy's an avoid. I don't know why people would go for Townsend, and I was really expecting a lot of backlash because it was like, Townsend is the most popular transfer in of the game week. I really don't agree with that, and I thought you guys in the comments would be going, oh, Dan, you're crazy. Townsend is really a really good pick, and try kind of list off reasons why they think Townsend is a good pick. No one did. Not a single person really even attempted to say, oh, Townsend is a good pick, because I think we're all in agreement. For some reason, all of us who really care about FPL, people who are, we're watching videos, we're consuming content, we all kind of agree that maybe Townsend is not the player to go for. Yet, for some reason, 300,000 people in the wider FPL base really want to go for Townsend. So really interesting to kind of, it's very rare that a player who is this popular can be that unpopular among experts, experienced players, etc, etc. Rafinha, obviously, he's very unlikely to play in Game Week 8 because of his international duty. Vardy, I think, is actually an interesting shout. I don't think it's a bad pick, but he is difficult to get into your team. And Antonio, I think he's one of those players where if you have him, keep him. If you don't have him, don't keep him, or don't buy him, kind of thing. So maybe he's not been so popular because of that. So yeah, aside from that, some of the other players, they've kind of been transferred in by one or two people, or not super popular, not super unpopular, but they're just kind of there or thereabouts. Decore, I think one person transferred in Decore, so it's kind of like he's an okay pick, but nothing amazing. But yeah, certainly Townsend, Rafinha, those two in particular, I really would not be thinking about transferring those in. I think the experts kind of agree with me on that one. But anyway, let's move on and have a look at some of the biggest sells of the game week among our 100. So these are the most popular transfers out. Of course, we are out of 63 because once we discount the people who are that were using their wild card, which I think it was 28, and the people who are not making any transfers, which I think was 9. But correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I've completely messed that up. But 63 people are using transfers in some capacity this week, and these are the most popular transfers among those 63 people who are making the transfer. So Jota and Sarr are tied for top of players to remove. That's pretty crazy. We don't often get a draw, but we have got a draw here. Two midfielders, not too dissimilar in price as well. I think Jota is sort of 7.6 million. Sarr is maybe 6.5 or something like that, maybe 6.6. I can't remember exactly what he is right now. But yeah, both Jota and Sarr are both being sold pretty heavily here, but it's pretty spread this week. There's no real standout sell. There is lots of players who are worth putting on your sell list, putting on your players that you probably want to remove, but there's no one massively standing out this week, and there is a decent spread between Jota, Sarr, Ronaldo, Shaw, who makes another appearance as a player we kind of want to sell. He was pretty high up last week as a player to sell. Same with Ayling, and then Alonso there as well, which is kind of interesting because kind of at the beginning, kind of a few days before game week 7 started, we actually all thought that Alonso was a pretty good pick. Then we kind of saw the Champions League game. Then we kind of heard a little bit from the Chelsea manager, Thomas Tuchel, and we kind of decided actually Alonso was not a great pick. And I'm sure a lot of people did go for Alonso last week. And to be fair, I planned to go for Alonso as well. I kind of changed my mind after I'd seen the Champions League game and heard the press conferences and then spoke to some Chelsea fans. Ended up deciding Alonso was a very, very bad pick. But some people did go early on Alonso, and therefore they're now left with a situation where Alonso might not even be playing very often. We do expect Chilwell to get more game time now than Alonso. Of course, there's going to be a bit of rotation. There always is at Chelsea, but yeah, Alonso is potentially not going to be playing as much football as perhaps we would have thought a couple of weeks ago. So for that reason, he has become one of the more popular sells. And there's just a couple of other random players in there, just sold by kind of 2 people a piece. But yeah, guys, if you have any of these players, particularly the players higher up the list, these are kind of the players you want to be looking at selling for ahead of game week 8. I suppose. But let's have a look at who you should be buying ahead of game week 8. So we do actually have a standout for the most popular transfers in among our 100 experts, and that is Cancelo. João Cancelo, very, very popular. I kind of expected this one, to be honest. He was kind of he would probably be my top number 1 transfer target for this game week, just because Man City have 3 fantastic fixtures coming up, and even after that they've got some kind of average fixtures, but then after that it's a very, very long period of something like it's something insane like 15-20 game weeks of really nice fixtures in general for Man City. So So you can get in these Man City players and kind of set and forget them in a way. I think that's kind of the reason why you're probably seeing a few other Man City players in this list as well. But in terms of the most popular transfer in, it is Cancelo. Although we did see on the transfer outs, there was all kinds of different defenders in there rather than just one set defender. So there's not really an obvious player to transfer out to bring in Cancelo. We are going to move on to that with some suggested transfers. But Cancelo, very popular, great attacking threat, great clean sheet potential, playing for the best defence in the league with some great fixtures. There is so much to love here. So guys, I would definitely agree that the Cancelo should be top of your transfer targets list right now when you're making your transfers ahead of game week 8. And we kind of look through the list here. There's other players that look really nice as well. Foden, a little bit of rotation risk, but we know that's quite an explosive player. We've got Saka there, Lukaku, a lot of people making the move from Ronaldo to Lukaku this week, which kind of does make sense with Manchester United's fixtures looking not so good and Chelsea's fixtures looking really good. That could be kind of interesting as well. Lukaku showing some decent form so far since he's been in the Premier League. We've got other players in there. You know, if you want to talk about some of the other Man City players, Torres, Grealish, if you want to go for them, take a little bit of a risk on one of those guys. A few of our experts are doing that. We've got Diaz in there as well, Laporta. Those are all Man City players, obviously. So it's very Man City heavy this week. So I think we kind of can come to the conclusion that maybe this is the week to bring in some Man City players into our FPL teams. So, okay, let's do some suggested transfers. Let's start you off with the Cancelo moves, because Cancelo was by far the most popular transfer in among our 100 experts. So, what kind of moves can you make to try and get Cancelo in? Well, I've kind of figured out the three most popular transfer outs among defenders are Shaw, Ayling and Alonso. So, if you've got Shaw, Ayling or Alonso and you can make that move to Cancelo, then I absolutely would do that. Now, Cancelo is a little bit more expensive than all three of these guys, particularly Ayling. You know, Cancelo is quite a lot more expensive than Ayling. So, although probably the best transfer move here is to go Ayling to Cancelo, because Ayling, you know, he's injured, he can't even play. Technically, on paper, that would be the best transfer move, because you're swapping out a player who can't even play full stop for a player who's looking amazing. But that does require a little bit of money in the bank. So, you know, if you have that money in the bank, that's the one I would go for. But if not, you don't really have much money in the bank and you have one of Shaw and Alonso, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will have one of Shaw or Alonso, then that is a really good transfer move as well to go for Cancelo. But if you've already got Cancelo, or you don't want to get Cancelo or whatever, there are some other options. There are some other suggested transfers that we can kind of derive from our 100 experts. Let's have a look at them. Okay, here are three very different suggestions. We've got Jota to Foden, kind of similar prices to those two players. We kind of have a very strong suspicion that Jota is not going to be available for this Liverpool game. At the weekend, he has had we think he's got some kind of injury. He's been sent home from international duty. We don't know exactly if he's going to be available for the early fixture on Saturday for Liverpool. There's not much time to turn around, and we do know that Firmino didn't go out on international duty, so Firmino is actually going to be available for Liverpool this weekend. So a lot is suggesting that Jota is not going to play against Watford, and then after that, Liverpool's fixtures aren't particularly good anyway. So Jota out could be a really, really sensible move. Foden, similar price. Man City's nice fixtures, explosive player. Maybe could go for that. Could be quite a nice move. We've got Sarr to Saka. A lot of people bringing in Saka this week for Arsenal's nice fixtures. Arsenal potentially showing a little bit of form here, and Saka seems to be the most nailed on, I guess, out of those Arsenal midfielders, you would say. It's out of the more creative ones anyway. So yeah, if you've got Sarr, that could be a nice move. You know, Sarr's playing Liverpool next, and then Watford have just got some shocking fixtures for a long, long time. So maybe you took advantage of Sarr's good scores in the past few game weeks, and now you want to move him on. Saka could be your guy. You know, maybe even Foden could be your guy if you can afford to do that. Kind of up to you. And of course, the standard Ronaldo to Lukaku move, which is a move we've kind of been talking about for a couple of game weeks. If you want to go for that now could be a very good time to go for that. You know, as long as you have no other problems in your team. Obviously, if you've got other injury problems or anything like that, then that's obviously your priority. But Ronaldo to Lukaku is a nice luxury move that you could potentially go for, particularly if you're thinking about captaining Lukaku in kind of the next few game weeks where Lukaku has some really, really nice fixtures. But be aware, guys, Lukaku has Brentford this game week. I think you can actually afford to wait one more game week before buying Lukaku if you're not 100% sure you want him. I think you can wait one more week if you want to. And finally, let's finish off with some captains. And guys, it's an absolute whitewash. Oh my word. Salah storming at 87%. Now, guys, you're going to notice that the percentages on screen, they don't quite add up. There was a couple of random players in there that just 1% of people, one out of the 100 experts, only one of them was picking. And they're kind of like, when only one person out of 100 is picking a player, that's not really a trend. That's not really a pattern. It's usually not very useful data, is it? So I thought we'd stick to players who were kind of captained by at least 2%. 87%. And yeah, guys, it does seem like Salah is such an obvious pick. 87%, 87 out of 100 experts will be going for Salah as their captain this game week. I'm sure a few people will be kind of considering going for a differential this week, but when we kind of look at the others, it's not even like there's a clear second favourite. It's not even like, you know, if we kind of saw Salah 87% and then we saw, you know, maybe Lukaku was something like 8 or 9%, then we could kind of say, okay, Lukaku is, you know, a nice, well, an obvious, decent differential pick. Well, I don't really think that's the situation. I think that all of these other players are kind of just punts, really. People who, you know, really want to be different, whether that's because they're chasing a mini league, maybe they really, for some reason, don't think Salah is going to do very well against Watford, or maybe they just really, really desperately want to take a risk. What is very clear that anything outside of Salah is not a sensible move. Now, if you're not bothered about making sensible moves, or you fancy taking a risk, that's also absolutely fine. You could really benefit from that potentially, particularly with so many people going for Salah. But just be aware that if you're not going for Salah this week, you are taking a huge risk. So Lukaku against Brentford, we do know Brentford have been pretty decent in defence in a lot of their games. But can Lukaku, Chelsea, beat them? Yeah, absolutely, it could happen. Son against Newcastle, yeah, again, definitely could happen. Cancelo against Burnley, really quite interesting actually. It's only going to take a kind of Cancelo clean sheet and an assist or something like that, or potentially a goal. He's been getting some good goal scoring opportunities. There definitely could be points there. And KDB as well against Burnley. I guess if you have KDB, not really too many people have KDB, but if you do have him, I kind of would understand why you would go for him. You know, he's likely to start, he's likely to play a lot of minutes against Burnley, and you know, he's a good premium player. He's showing some good form since he's come back into the City team after, you know, a pretty long layoff, to be fair. So yeah, it could be a really good pick if you have KDB, but I imagine most of you guys don't. So yeah, I'll be kind of interested to see that one. I think that's the one that kind of strikes me the most. If I had both Salah and KDB, if I'm honest, I would still be going for Salah personally, but I can definitely see the appeal in going for some of those Man City players if you have them. There's just always that little bit of risk of rotation, of minutes, of stuff like that gets in your head a little bit. And yeah, for that reason, I think we've got to all be on the same page here and kind of say that Salah is the sensible pick. If you don't fancy a sensible pick, fair enough, but that's on you guys, not me. So that is the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. Obviously, these videos do take a lot of time to kind of compile the information and try and make something useful of it for you guys. So yeah, all likes are massively appreciated on the video. And of course, do subscribe if you're new around here. Hashtag road to 100k subscribers. Yeah, we've got to get it done in the next couple of months, I'm sure. By the end of the year, we've got to do it. But yes, guys, that's pretty much it for today. We've got a couple more videos this week. We're going to do a 100 Experts style wildcard video at the end of this week, which I think you guys are going to like. But I also got to do my team selection video, and that's going to come out tomorrow. And then finally, we're going to do a deadline stream on Saturday as well to wrap up the week as I finalise my own personal wildcard. So yeah, lots to look forward to this week in terms of FPL. Really excited to get back stuck in with some Premier League football. Hope you guys are too. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.